ninjas born into the four noble clans of Konoha, there are already extremely high, lofty expectations that ninja's gonna do well. However, there's even more pressure on a ninja from these clans to exceed expectations when they're expected to be the next clan leader. Look no further to how Hinata Hyuga buckled under the pressure that her father put on her to be the next clan leader, and her father eventually moved on to Hanabi for that purpose. Well, long before there was ever Hinata Hyuga, Itachi Uchiha, the child prodigy, was the one who went through a very similar fate. So in today's newest installment of Itachi Shinden Daylight, we're going to take a look at how Fugaku Uchiha was responsible for Itachi's most tragic memory, and how Fugaku intended and almost succeeded in making Itachi awaken the Sharingan at the age of 4 years old. Now, the information comes to us from the Naruto light novel Itachi Shinden Daylight, which is one of 2 light novels that follows the early years of Itachi, with the second novel diving extremely deeply into the events behind the scenes of the Uchiha massacre. Now, those of you guys who are familiar with the Naruto Shippuden anime, I want you guys to forget everything that you saw in the anime. Longtime viewers of content on my channel can tell you there's a drastic difference in tone, and there's a drastic difference in the information that you're given in the anime version and in the actual canonical version of what you get in the events of the novels. So I want you guys to delete all that stuff from your mind. So with all that out of the way, let's go ahead and dive into the scene. So to add further context, we're gonna jump right into it. However, you guys have to understand why Fugaku went to such extremes to attempt to make Itachi awaken the Sharingan at the age of 4, which, if Fugaku had been successful in this attempt, it would have meant that Itachi would have had the Sharingan many years before he actually awakened it in the story. So why exactly was Fugaku trying to rush Itachi, you might ask? Well, the answer to that is actually really simple, and it's actually kind of ingenious when you think about it. Kind of cruel too. So as the firstborn son of the Uchiha clan's leader, it was expected of Itachi to one day step into a leadership role of the clan. Due to the Uchiha not just being one of the 4 noble clans of Konoha, but also being one of the 2 founding clans of the village, there were great expectations placed on Itachi. His father, Fugaku Uchiha, was born 3 years after the end of the First Great Ninja War, and Fugaku was only 6 years younger than the legendary Sannin, so Fugaku grew up with the legendary Sannin in his generation, so he was in very good company, which means Fugaku also likely heard stories from people like Setsuna Uchiha, who plotted to overthrow Tobirama Senju as Hokage at one point. Fugaku likely heard of how things were during the First Great Ninja War, as well as from the older members of the Uchiha clan who remember the events of the Warring States era. Now, this also ties into another video that I've talked about with Fugaku and other people in the village being upset that Minato was chosen over Fugaku and Orochimaru to be the 4th Hokage. Fugaku was a ninja who more than lived up to the Uchiha crest that he wore on his back, having earned the nickname Wicked Eye Fugaku Uchiha after developing a strong penchant for genjutsu during the 2nd and the 3rd Great Ninja War. Even Danzo and Hiruzen Sarutobi acknowledged Fugaku's strength during the private meetings. Despite not being publicly acknowledged for his strength by the elders, Fugaku was revealed to be mentioned in the breath of legendary ninjas such as the legendary Sannin trio and with Minato during the Konoha elders meetings behind the scenes. All eyes were on the firstborn son of Fugaku Uchiha, one of the more powerful ninja of the village, to achieve great things, and Fugaku himself was determined to make his son awaken the Sharingan so his son could achieve all the things that Fugaku himself was not able to achieve due to the village politics. As an Uchiha, Itachi's Sharingan would prove to be his best asset to making his clan proud and fulfilling what Fugaku believed to be his son's destiny to be the next Uchiha clan leader. And so, during the tail end of the 3rd Great Ninja War, when Itachi was merely 4 years old, too young to even attend the academy, Fugaku took Itachi to the battlefield and he forced him to watch his men breathe their last breaths, surrounding his son with suffering, all for the goal of making him awaken the Sharingan so Fugaku could begin Itachi's true training before Itachi went to the academy. So with all that background info finally here and the scene finally being set, I'll dive right into the scene from the novel and then I'll come back to you guys to my thoughts, and it's here I'm going to begin quoting. Itachi Uchiha remembered very clearly the moment. He became very aware of exactly where he was. It was raining that day. Itachi had only turned 4 floor and the rain so heavy he had trouble opening his eyes under its weight. Standing beside him, his father offered nothing in the way of sympathy or support, and Itachi didn't expect any. Remember, this is a battlefield. His father's powerful words pushed through the roar of the rain and pierced in Itachi's heart. Battlefield. It was not a word for a 4-year-old boy to fix into his memory, to say still less of the scene that lay before him in that moment. Nothing remotely fit for a child's eyes. Bodies upon bodies upon bodies. Mountains of dead bodies as far as the eye could see, and not a single one of them at peace. Corpses had stiffened, with faces twisting in agony as they breathed their last breaths. In a few years, you'll become a ninja too. This war might end by then, but in the reality of a ninja does not change. This is the world that you're gonna step into, Itachi. Soaking wet in the rain, his father probably wouldn't notice if Itachi cried. Still, Itachi fought back the tears. He felt that if he cried here, he might lose something critical to his life as a ninja, so he desperately tightened his control over himself, but the tears that came spilling out naturally. The countless dead bodies blanketing the surface of the earth had no connection to natural borders now. They were all dead. They were unable to kick free of their own deaths as they struggled, mourned and writhed in pain. Those anguish-filled faces were all the same, no matter what land these ninja came from. Not one among them had wished for death, and yet they had all died. But why? Why because of the war? It was rage that made Itachi shake. It wasn't the chill of the rain. It wasn't the fear of the corpses. It was merely rage. Itachi felt a warm hand on the top of his head. It was the hand of his father. I wanted to make sure you saw this reality. Itachi frantically searched his mind for the meaning of the word reality. He was only 4. He didn't understand the difference between reality and fiction, and so he struggled to grasp the meaning of what his father was leaving unsaid. Itachi, ninjas are creatures of the night. Never forget what you saw here. His father's voice led Itachi to rub his eyes as he cried. He burnt the hellscape before him into his retina so that he would never forget it. Not that he'd be able to. A warm feeling, unlike the tears that wiggled and squirmed underneath his eyes. The sensation, a wild wave of power flowing towards his retinas. It terrified Itachi, and so he unconsciously tried to close his eyes, and when he did, the wave slowly and quietly disappeared into the center of his eyes. He felt his heart pounding madly, and his breath was ragged. He took a deep breath and opened his eyes. Before him, the hellish landscape was unchanged. He gently pressed his hand to his chest. He felt like if he gave himself over to that power, he would stop being himself somehow. What's wrong, Itachi? End quote. So what I love here about this moment is that we know from the manga that this scene actually had the opposite effect of what Fugaku Uchiha had intended. So like how Obito told Sasuke when Obito told him the truth about Itachi, this moment only caused Itachi to become a pacifist. Instead of embracing the destiny that his father wanted for Itachi, Itachi chose to start looking for a different light to illuminate the path that Itachi would walk going forward. We know as much from Hiruzen Sarutobi's own words when he described Itachi as having the wisdom of a Hokage at the age of an academy student. The boy who would be the prize of the Uchiha clan had a moment where his Sharingan almost awakened. Itachi was written in this scene as having a surge of warmth and power flowing into his eyes, power that he was afraid that would take over his body, which shows that Itachi was aware, even if he didn't realize what it was, of what Tobirama Senju stated when he said that an Uchiha goes through a psychological change once they awaken their Sharingan. Now, the reaction that Itachi had was noticeable enough that even Fugaku stopped to check on his son, who had already been emotional, crying silent tears as he watched the death and carnage around him. It's the small details like this that show you how much of a kind-hearted young boy Itachi was, but it also comes to show you how close he came to having his life altered. Had Fugaku Uchiha noticed that he had gotten what he wanted, that the Sharingan had awakened in a 4-year-old Itachi, the path for him might be something a lot different. Harsher training, being brought into the Uchiha clan meetings at a younger age, and potentially having his mind warped by the anger and hostility brewing inside the Uchiha clan during that time. Now, for somebody to say, well, how can Itachi unconsciously awaken the Sharingan during this time? I also want to remind you guys that Sasuke didn't first awaken the Sharingan against Haku. He actually first awakened the Sharingan during the Uchiha massacre, but never realized that he did so. The same thing when it comes to Kakashi unlocking the Mangekyo Sharingan and never realizing he had it, all during the events of part 1. So when you look at the anime, they took Itachi onto the battlefield, they showed him giving water to a ninja and almost getting his throat sliced. It was an attempt to convey the out of place feeling of a kind-hearted soul like Itachi on the battlefield, but the substance of what made that scene so heartbreaking, in my opinion, is something that the anime did not convey to you. However, that's gonna be it for this latest installment of Itachi Shinden Daylight. So my question to you guys is, how do you guys think things would have changed if Fugaku had succeeded in making Itachi awaken the Sharingan? Let me know down in the comment section below. But as always, guys, if you like anything I had to say, don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe, and share. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. Have an awesome day, guys.